Edge at 11 starts now.
Tonight on The Edge, the threat of storms and heavy rain continues tonight.
But when we come out of it, on the other side of it, you'll notice some cooler temperatures. And Captain Rich Luderman is here with our forecast.
All right, Tara, we're ready for some cooler temperatures. We do have a cold front crossing the area right now, but there's one last blast of rain up there over central Wisconsin, and that's coming our way for late tonight and again Tuesday morning. It was warm and muggy again today. You can see where all the action is. Still across northern Indiana, parts of the thumb getting some light sprinkles over Lake Michigan as well. Take a look at Tropical Storm Debbie, still with top winds near 45 miles per hour, centered north of Jacksonville. So it continues to weaken, but as it slows down, this is going to be an enormous rainmaker over the next few days for parts of Atlanta, for parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina especially. Some of the models are putting out better than 20 inches of rain. That is not coming our way. Today's high 86. There's that rain total from this afternoon, about 1/10 of an inch. Some of us had some heavy downpours and some gusty winds. That was around the noon hour. Right now, temperatures still on the mild side. Humidity is starting to fall, and I'll show you why. There's breezes out there from the north and northeast, and that's allowing some of our dew points to get down into the middle 60s. Right now, 68 in Traverse City, 67 Alpena. We're still at 76. There's Toledo, 80 degrees. Watch what happens to that frontal boundary draped over the region. It's going to sag to the south. This is a snapshot at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can see the showers and storms, Kalamazoo up into the thumb, including all of southeast Michigan. Then all of that peels away as high pressure builds in. It's this high that's going to bring down the humidity, bring down the heat, and give us some great weather heading into the weekend. There's that bullseye for severe weather tomorrow from Cedar Point to Cleveland, Youngstown, and Pittsburgh. For us, showers arrive well after midnight, closer to sunrise, 67 the low. Tomorrow's going to be a different kind of day. Cloudy, cooler, occasional rain, a breeze as well. 72, that's going to do it. And then how about this long, great stretch of weather right into the weekend? Love the way that looks. Remember, always get the latest forecast. Check it out, the Fox 2 Weather app. You can download it for free right now or anytime in the App Store or in Google Play.
I have about 2.5 inches of water inside everywhere in my house. Everywhere. Everything's soaked.
Torrential rain downed trees and power outages. Rescue efforts now underway in Florida after Debbie made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane. At least 4 people died. Debbie, now a tropical storm, is still packing a punch as it makes its way to Georgia and South Carolina. You heard Rich talking about that on his weather maps. Both coasts expecting major flooding over the next several days. Also making news tonight, it's so cruel. A man on a bike hit by a driver in Detroit.
We have access now to the video because it appears the driver might be the one who posted it on social media. Fox 2's Jessica Dupnat joins us live with more on this really cold-hearted crime, Jessica.
Taryn and Roop, this one is really hard to even wrap your mind around. We're talking about a guy who pulls out his camera while he's driving and just goes right for a guy on a bicycle, completely crushing him. And Detroit police saying tonight there is no way that this was an accident. What do you think of that?
I think the person ain't even try to avoid him.
Fellow bicyclist Randall Cousins is right. Instead of stopping to help the man on the bike that he just hit on purpose, the driver posted the POV video on Instagram for clout.
I think they have no conscience and don't care.
It happened on Detroit's east side last Thursday morning here off Edgewood near Isham. The bicyclist's shoes still here Monday. He was knocked off the bike and out of those shoes. We're told both of his legs are broken. Then the driver hits another car, not on video, and speeds off.
I've seen people hit by a car, but it's usually has some kind of motive. This one appears to be just for social media.
We asked Commander John Savak if this could be one of those dangerous TikTok trends. Detroit police checked in with neighboring police agencies.
They haven't seen anything like this, so it looks like an isolated incident.
The DPD has some work to do. The driver wiped his social media off the map since it was posted last week. Now they'll need warrants to search those accounts.
He's not going to get away with it.
This is right where you ride, literally.
Yeah, I ride around here every day.
This is Randall's route. He shook the thought of someone being so heartless still out there. He does take precautions already.
All that, you need it out here.
This area in particular on the city's east side, he says, it's tough to navigate a bike safely. Too many close calls to count.
But over here, for some reason, they speed, don't care, honk their horn, cuss you out. We got rights like them.
Detroit police say best case scenario, that driver turns himself in. It usually works out better that way. But regardless, they've secured those warrants. They know who it is, at least the profile. It's just a matter of time before they track this guy. Reporting on Detroit's West Side, Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
And Jessica, what about the guy riding the bike? I mean, what do we know about him at this point?
We don't really know much about him, unfortunately. We do know that he broke both of his legs. He obviously was in the hospital. As far as other injuries, they were isolated to his legs, but 2 broken legs, that's a serious injury. And so it'll be interesting to see what charges come of this when they find that guy.
Gosh, just horrible. All right. Thanks for that report, Jessica.
Well, this next one, it's a fiery crash in Sterling Heights that tragically ended the life of a mother from Warren and left her son with severe burns.
And police tell us it was a drunk driver that crashed into their pickup truck as they waited at a traffic light. Fox News' Dave Spencer has more on the victims.
This video from a nearby gas station in Sterling Heights shows how devastating this crash was.
Must have punctured the gas line or something, and obviously fuel spilled on the ground, and then ultimately it ignited as well. Ended up catching the F-150 on fire.
It was just before 2 on Sunday morning.
A F-150 was stopped at the traffic light at southbound Van Dyke near 15 Mile. Just sitting there, and ultimately a Dodge Charger was traveling also southbound, rear-ended the F-150 at a high rate of speed.
In that Ford F-150, 54-year-old Melissa Oberg, who according to a GoFundMe page set up for the family, worked as a critical care technician at a local hospital. She was the driver and died on scene. Her 30-year-old son, Matthew, was the passenger.
He was able to escape. He had severe burns to himself and ultimately was transported to the hospital.
According to the family, he has third-degree burns and other injuries and is recovering at home. The driver of the Dodge Challenger has been identified as 25-year-old Datwan Austin of Detroit, who was allegedly drunk at the time.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Time and time again, it happens. You know, the person that caused this accident is drinking and driving, ends up walking away unscathed physically.
Austin was arraigned on 2 felonies: operating while intoxicated causing death, a 15-year felony, and operating while intoxicated causing serious injury, a 5-year felony.
He was given a $150,000 bond, and now he awaits to continue the court process.
Police tell us the real tragedy in all of this, it could have all been avoided.
Uber or Lyft you can call, and or call a friend. I mean, there's so many other options. Don't get behind the wheel. You ultimately put your life at risk as well as anybody else that's on the roadway.
The GoFundMe is raising money for the son who survived and his sister to help pay for a funeral for their mother and expenses needed in his recovery. We will have a link at fox2detroit.com. Police tell us they are looking for potential witnesses who may have seen the crash Sunday morning. They're also trying to determine where the driver of the Dodge Charger was prior to all this. They're asking anyone with information to call police. In Sterling Heights, Dave Spencer on The Edge.
A Warren woman breaks down during her arraignment today. The toddler she was hired to take care of is now recovering from a gunshot wound.
According to police, 42-year-old April Green was a babysitter, and she was taking care of a 2.5-year-old boy when he found her gun and shot himself in the stomach. We're told the 9mm handgun was unsafely stored under a pillow on a bed. We've learned Green is a licensed CPL holder. Her attorney also tells us she's a social worker with the state of Michigan.
As a Warren Police Commissioner, I am sad and upset by this incident. Anytime that a child is injured, it is a tragedy. What is upsetting about this incident is that it was so preventable.
To recover, Green was given a $75,000 bond. We're expected to find out in a matter of hours who Vice President Kamala Harris chooses as her running mate.
And Fox News is reporting the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee is closing in on a decision. Some have given their opinion on who it should be.
We really like Tim Walz from Minnesota also. Think he's an awesome guy for labor, 100% behind labor.
It should be Josh Shapiro. I don't think this is a hard choice.
Walz is a veteran, former teacher, and current governor of Minnesota. Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro is seen as a moderate who could make the difference in the must-win state for Democrats. Most Democrats insist they'll be happy with any of the candidates Harris picks.
I'm confident that she will identify amongst the many wonderful choices that she has an effective governmental partner
President Harris and her running mate will be in Detroit Wednesday. Details on her visit are still being kept under wraps.
Well, the Republican vice presidential nominee will also make a visit to our area this week. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will speak at the Shelby Township Police Department on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Doors open at 8.
Election day, the polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. If they find themselves in line at 8 p.m., they can still vote a regular ballot.
Primary election day hours away from now, and thousands have already cast their ballot due to early voting. Detroit City Clerk Janice Winfrey tells Fox 2 3,000 voters have cast their ballots so far. As a reminder, for the primaries in the partisan section, voters can only vote one way. Listen closely, all Democrat or all Republican. Residents can't mix their ticket. Well, one of the key issues on the campaign trail for both sides will be the economy, especially following news that Wall Street just had its worst day in 2 years.
It's sparking fears of a recession. The Dow actually and the Nasdaq were both down more than 1,000 points at the start of Monday's trading session. The country's stock index suffered its worst day in nearly 4 decades. Investors say the Fed hasn't moved quickly enough on slashing rates, despite the fact inflation has cooled from its peak in the summer of 2022.
The Fed is behind the 8 ball here. There's no question they've waited too long.
I don't know if this is the start of something really deep like a recession or whether this is one of those blips.
The Fed can step in and make an emergency interest rate cut.